We are back with a new video in our series on cost reduction and constraint elimination, all leading to profit enhancement. Delta Ita's methods of profit enhancement focuses on two aspects. One is reducing unit cost, and second one is eliminating constraints. The last 31 videos which we published was focusing on this theme, on how to reduce cost, how to eliminate constraints at the operational level. Now today and the next video is about another subject, which is not an objective one, it is a subjective subject. This is something to do with human behavior, which we always avoid to teach or to implement. Bringing a change in the human behavior is very, very, very difficult. But today we are going to see that human behavior of resistance. Any change which we like to bring, whether it is at home or in the office or in the public, there is always a resistance to the change. This is the fundamental human behavior. You can't find any action where there is no change or there is no resistance to the change. So today we are going to see how this resistance can be avoided or overcome so that we implement our plans successfully. Even the best plans, if it is not implemented, it is of no use. But to implement, you always find either our own resistance, which is inertia on our side, or resistance from outside, from your colleagues, from your subordinates, from your customers, because man is a slave of methods. Once we learn to do something in a particular way, we will oppose nail and tooth if there is another way to do it. A simple example I will ask you. You have an egg. If you are used to opening from the top a boiled egg, I'll ask you a question. Why are you opening from the top only? Why not from the bottom? You may have a technical reason, you may not have one, but because you are used to something like opening the egg from the top, you will continue to do that. Similarly with the plantain, why do you peel off from the top? Why not peel it off from the bottom? Now, if I ask these questions, you will say, this is what we have been doing. And so to change from that, you will always hesitate. There will be resistance. The same thing happens in the organization also. Something we have been doing in a certain way, if it has to be changed, you will find that people will resist it. So now, you cannot improve unless you change. There's a famous quote by Winston Churchill, the ex-PM of UK and a war leader. He says, to change is to become, is to improve, and to change often is to become perfect. So to change is to improve. But there will be resistance. Let's see how this resistance can be overcome in an organization so that you implement all the changes and come out successfully. Before we go on how to overcome change resistance, let's see what are the different types of resistance you have. What are the techniques to be used to implement the change to minimize resistance? And more than minimizing resistance, it is how we obviate resistance. Minimizing resistance and obviating resistance is totally two different concepts. Minimize resistance, yes, you bring it low, but there is a chance that it can flare up. It can become another a movement to oppose the change. Whereas you obviate the resistance. You don't give room for that resistance and you bypass it. This is the way to obviate resistance, we call it. Let's see how it can be done. So in a simple explanation of resistance is given here. The meaning of resistance is the action of opposing something that you disapprove or disagree with. So anything to which you oppose, it is called you disapprove with it or disagree with it. This is resistance. Of course, you know, in science, friction is a one important concept. Without friction, many of the activities cannot take place. Like a simple winding of the rope also is basically a friction science. But there is something above that that is called resistance. You stop entirely the movement. Resistance is something which you try to stop that action. Okay, so resistance is the action of opposing something that you disapprove or disagree and don't let it happen. This is basically resistance. Why do we have resistance in the organization? The first reason is lack of awareness. The moment you say that there's a change, people will resist it because there is a lack of awareness of what is this change. Lack of awareness whether it is going to be beneficial or is it going to be harmful, they don't know. So lack of awareness is one of the first reasons why there is a resistance. This lack of awareness leads to imagination, leads to rumors, leads to misguidance. Okay, and it can snowball into a very big movement itself, a resistance against that change. So lack of awareness is one of the main reasons why people oppose change. Second reason why people oppose bringing about a change in the organization is fear of losing a job. As I said, to change is to improve. So in that improvement, they think that a manpower may be sacrificed. They don't think that it will ease their job, or they don't think that it can make the job faster. Instead, the employees fear that they will lose the job, because what comes first to our mind in any instance is a negative thought. If we get a phone call at 5:30 in the morning, 99% of us would think that there's a bad news at the other end. Only maybe 1% would think that somebody is calling me to say some good news of a promotion or a new job or something like that, which will benefit me. 99% would think that, yeah, I lost somebody. That's why I'm getting a call at 5:30. So fear of losing a job or fear of getting a negative news is another reason why people object to change. Third one, it's a basic human nature to resist change. As I said earlier, we are slaves of methods. We have been used to doing things in a certain way, and to bring about a change to that, it will give us a discomfort. It gives us a discomfort, and definitely we will resist it. A simple example would be just you change the position of the door, or you change the position of the handle of the door. You will find people upset over that. It was opening inside, and you decided that better to open towards the opening guy so that somebody standing outside inside doesn't get hurt. But that is objected. Okay. You see, a simple change done with an intention to avoid any accidents. Okay, you are just opening the door inside. Instead, you are opening the door towards your side. Okay. This is also objected. I've seen this happening in an organization. Fourth reason why there is a resistance is people have had a bad experience earlier. Some changes the company tried to implement in the past was not only beneficial, not beneficial to the organization or to the employee, it was in fact giving them a bad experience. It was maybe a half-cooked idea, or it was not implemented well, or it was implemented at the wrong time. Anything can go wrong. Okay, so that bad experience is in the back of the mind that they object to any new change. So basically 4 reasons why people object change. Okay, so our job as managers, as entrepreneurs, as owners of the company is to bring about this change smoothly without affecting anybody's psyche. So there's a saying that you can bring a horse to drink water, but you can't make it drink. Like this. Okay. You bring a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. What are the 5 types of resistance we have? First resistance is called not in our hands. Very simple. It's not with us. We can't do anything about it. It's a very basic type of resistance you get from the employees, from your colleagues. It's not in our hands. Don't ask us to change it because it is not in our hands. Second stage of resistance. The first one, not with us, they would say. The second one would be to doubt the impact. This will slightly upset the initiator and maybe he will back out. You say that by doing this change, bringing about this change, you can improve the output by 10%. Immediately they will come out with N reasons to say that the suggestion or the idea is not practical and may not work out. And they will doubt the impact. They will say, can it give 10%? Maybe 5%, maybe 7%. Okay, 5, let it be 5. Why don't you try it? So they will not try to attack the concept. They will try to attack the result. There are some people who don't bother about the concept. They bother about the medium of instruction. Okay, you want to point out something, they will forget that point. They'll be bothered that you used WhatsApp or email to inform him instead of using a proper letter. So they will forget the concept. They will be more bothered about the medium you used. So this is the doubting impact. Slightly more severe than doubting the impact will be the highlighting negative effects. There are people are very good at it. No, instead of doubting the impact, they will go to the other extreme of highlighting all the negative effects this change can bring to the organization or this change can bring to the people. I remember reading long back that when hydropower was recommended in one of the states, there was an opposition to that project because they said that the water which comes out of the idle project will not have the same power as the water coming direct. So they wanted to create a dam and from there make an idle project so that they could generate some electricity. But some very cunning politicians, or I would say some people, objected to the idea by saying that water coming after the idle plant will not have the same energy level as the one without that, because all the energy from the water is drained off in the idle plant. So they said that the water is a wastewater, so we should oppose creating a hydropower project here. So they objected to the construction of a dam, they objected to the construction of a hydropower project, and in short, they objected to creating more power, electricity in that region and bring about change or improvement. This is all, this example, what I told you, is a bogus or it's a fictional idea. Water, we all know, coming from the river is used to drive so many turbines and produce electricity. It doesn't mean that the water coming after the turbine is of no use. So trying to give negative effects. This is the third stage of resistance. Fourth one is to raise obstacles. Okay, this is slightly more severe, or the close to the highest level, which is to raise obstacle to the implementation part. It can be through a strike. It can be through some media discussion, or it can be bringing about some some objections through some physical means, so that you will not go about and implement the change. So this is raising obstacles. Okay, this is slightly more, it can go to the extent of even becoming violent. Okay, this is the fourth stage of resistance. And the fifth stage, once all the four stages are over, you will go to the fifth stage, which is raise doubt about others. This is to say, I am okay with the change, but others are not okay with the change. So you raise doubt about others' participation, and this leads to dropping off that idea. Okay, I will cooperate, I have no objection, they would say, but they doubt about the cooperation of others, which is your. So now the ball has gone to a different court, and now that court is much bigger. There may be the supervisor will say, I have no problem, I will try to implement it, but I have 10 subordinates, I don't know about them, whether they will cooperate or not. So this is the 5 stage of resistance you find in implementing a change. And is this happening only at the lowest level? Is it happening only at the shop floor level, or the blue collar level, or the wage earners, daily wage earners level? I doubt. It's not happening at that level. It happens at all the levels. If the CEO wants to bring about a certain change, you will find the MD is not receptive to the idea. The MD wants to do it, the GM is not receptive to the idea, because everybody has one of these 4 reasons. One is the lack of awareness, the reasons for this change, and the 5 is in one of the 5 stages. The MD would say, I am ready for cooperation, but I don't know about the others, and I can't buy them in. So raise doubt about others. Okay. So these are the 5 stages of resistance, and it is not limited to the lowest level in the hierarchy. It is applicable to all levels. Many cost reduction projects could not go about because the CEO or the owner, the chairman, was receptive to the idea of cost reduction, but the next in command who was to implement it, he was not ready. Why he was not ready? Because he was doubting whether he will have obstacle from others, and that would put his performance in poor light. So these are the 5 stages of resistance coming from all the levels in an enterprise. So as the chairman of the company, or the owners, or the MD, or the CEO, it's our job to ensure that these resistance are overcome with good tact. Okay, you can't overcome the resistance with force. You cannot overcome the resistance with money. Okay, giving them gifts. There are some ways to do it, but it is not always one way we should do it. You should know what is the stage of resistance, and accordingly change your tactics. This is why I said there are 5 stages. So, and like Maslow's law of hierarchy, this is one stage, after that it goes after, like that. You don't start with the level 5. You will start with number 1 or 2 or 3, and then goes to level 5. Again, I just put a small table here about the strength and severity of these stages and the ease of handling it. You'll see the first 2 stages, it's pretty easy to handle. The third and fourth stage is slightly difficult, and the last stage is very difficult, because it's now not one you have to convince. He says, I'm out of it, so you have to convince the rest. Maybe there are 10 people below him. So this is a real difficult task. which we have to do it. So this is a table of the strength and severity of resistance. Now, overcoming resistance, you can do it in two ways. I've just shown you two pictures here. The first one is like you overcome a hurdle. You all know this picture of the hurdles here. Okay, so you jump over one hurdle, you jump over second, third, fourth, like that until you reach your destination. But the important thing is you have overcome the hurdle now, but the hurdle is still there. Okay, when somebody else is coming also, the hurdle will be there. So this is the problem with the hurdles. The hurdle is still there. You have overcome it, but doesn't mean that the next person can also can come without the hurdle. He also has to pass through the hurdle. That is why the hurdle is shown here as an example. Okay, so you have overcome the hurdle and you have reached your destination, but your successor will find the same hurdle over there. So this is why one way of overcoming resistance. So you personally survive it, but your successor will face it again. The second way of overcoming hurdles or to overcome resistance, I would say, is to peel it off. You see the picture of an onion here. We all know this onion. Okay, once you peel it off one by one, it cannot become another onion again. It is never the same onion. It's just peeled off. And after some time, it loses its smell, it loses its aroma, and it becomes of no use. It starts getting bluish in color and it becomes no use. So there is no more onion there left for use once you peel it off. You see the beauty? Here, your successor will face the same hurdle again, even if you overcome it. Whereas, when you go to the onion, you peel it off like an onion. You peel it off so well that after some time you find that the onion is of no more use because it absorbs bacteria from the atmosphere and it turns bluish in color. So that onion is poisonous and you just throw it in the waste basket. So you have to overcome resistance in such a way that you peel it off, that resistance becomes corrupt or that resistance becomes poisonous and is thrown away. It can never be used again. You can just try that. You peel off an onion and leave it open for 10 minutes or half an hour. You will find that it is not worthy to be used again. So don't let that resistance exist anymore. Let it become poisonous and be thrown away. This is what we mean by overcoming resistance in two ways. More than overcoming resistance, the most easiest way is to obviate resistance. The intelligent and sensible way will be to obviate resistance. We know the English word obviate, to anticipate and prevent or eliminate difficulties, disadvantage by effective measures. So to anticipate and prevent or eliminate difficulties by effective measures. You all must be knowing this famous goal by Roberto Carlos. This happened in the 1998 World Cup, I think. Maybe you must have seen this already, but still, this is worth watching once again.
Façon dont il s'est placé devant le ballon, laissé augurer qu'il allait frapper de l'extérieur du pied. Et il a mis un but, une frappe somptueuse extérieure du pied qui contourne le ballon. Regardez, on voit qu'elle va sortir et avec l'effet, elle touche l'intérieur du.
I hope you enjoyed that goal. What was the beauty of that goal? You saw that there was a huge resistance. There was a big wall standing there. He didn't hit into the wall. He just went around the wall. He obviated the resistance, went around the wall, took the support of one post, and got the ball in. See, yes, just bypassed the wall or obviated the going through the wall. The resistance was overcome easily or avoided, and he used a support from one of the goal posts to get the ball inside the goal. This is what is called obviate resistance. You find support from some other corner and you try to avoid all the resistance which is forming up against you and try to get the ball in. This is obviate resistance, a very successful technique used in football. Later, you must have seen so many goals coming up from Ronaldo and Messi. So you try to pass, obviate the resistance. We had famous goals by Pele in the past where you hit through the wall, but here you see that he's just avoiding the wall and going around it. So this is what we mean by obviate resistance.